Emefiele is the managing director of Okowa's 2-year-old bank, which has 13 subsidiaries according to Clark. Ifeanyi Okowa, the former governor of Delta State, is the owner of 13 firms and a 2-year-old bank, of which one Emefiele is the managing director. According to Sir Edwin Clark, elder statesman, in an interview with Arise News, he disclosed that Monday Okowa, who worked for Zenith Bank previously, is now employed by Okowa's bank. Now, wow. He added that Okowa had kept the majority of the funds intended for the Niger Delta residents for his own gain. He acknowledged writing Okowa 2 letters to inquire about his use of their funds. He claims that every oil producing state has been compensated, and the amount paid to Delta from 2007 to June 2015 was 1,760-something billion naira. We collected over 700 billion just in February, with the remaining funds going to Okowa because oil was coming in so freely and at such high prices. So in order to let him know that we cannot be duped, I wrote him a second letter, which I have already given to the EFCC. Today, some governors are wealthier than their respective states. He opened a bank, and as of today, that 2-year-old bank has received the majority of our funds, something high-end banking Emefiele. Okay, the managing director is a native of Okowa's village. Monday Okowa, Okowa's brother, who was working at Zenith Bank, is present. Okay, and this man owns 13 businesses. Can you imagine? Thus, he received 1 trillion as payment. Therefore, instead of paying the 50% stipulated by his own rule, the Desopadec rule, section 14, which mandates that money must be delivered to them automatically, he now retained the 13% and utilized the entire sum to distribute installments and approve whatever deal the Desopadec desired. Okay. So in order to let him know that we cannot be duped, I wrote him a second letter, which I have already given to the EFCC. Today, some governors are wealthier than their people, and the 2-year-old bank has received the majority of the Delta State money. Now, wow. So, but the Emefiele we're talking about here that E.K. Clark is referring to is obviously not Godwin Emefiele of Central Bank of Nigeria. He might be related to him because all of them are from Agbo. Emefiele of Central Bank of Nigeria is from Agbo. The Okowa, governor of Delta State, previous governor of Delta State, is from Agbo. So they know themselves and they might be relating. And I think with all the money they have taken from government, they must have established businesses and put their brothers, their relatives to run those businesses. That is why we can hear Monday Okowa being one of the managers or senior persons in Okowa's establishment. And also we can also hear of something Emefiele being the MD of the 2-year-old bank owned by Okowa, the former governor of Delta State. So the question is, this is the reason, just like Edwin Clark is saying, that governors are richer than the state they govern. Some of them say they don't have money to pay salary. Some of them cannot do good projects. Some of them cannot do no scholarship, no infrastructure in the state. But meanwhile, they are very, very rich. And that is also an effect of the whole, on the whole Nigeria. Because Nigeria is a country where the nation as a country is broke, financially broke, but individuals are richer than the nation. So individuals are very, very rich, but the nation as a country is broke. The same thing goes to all the states. The individuals are very, very rich, starting from the governors of the state, but the state as an entity is broke financially. They say they can't pay salary, they can't do this, they can't do that. There's no money here, there's no money there. But individuals are very, very rich. And this is exactly what is coming out from this Okowa's administration, from what E.K. Clark is analyzing here. If Okowa has a 2-year-old bank and also has another 13 businesses, okay, where did he get the money? What kind of business was he doing before he became a governor? What was his asset declaration before becoming the governor? And what will be his asset declaration today? Okay. So I don't understand, because they are supposed to declare their asset before assuming office and also declare their asset after assuming office. Okay, who is checking them and who is asking them to come and declare their asset after leaving office? And let's see the difference. Let's see what they have acquired versus what their entitlement was, to compare to what they have, so that we know whether they have stolen, and then we can have basis to ask questions where necessary. Nobody's going to do that. They are still fighting to go higher. That they have taken politics as a career and as everything, because that is where they live on, after which they don't have competency for any other thing. Eh? People who cannot manage a business, people who never owned anything before getting to political position, are now richer than the people that they govern or they represent, are now richer than the state or country that they work for. It's quite unfortunate. It's actually a very bad one. So from what Edwin Clark is saying, he has written Okowa 2 letters and he has handed over the last one to EFCC. Let's see if EFCC will invite Okowa for questioning, because he needs to be invited. In fact, a lot of the governors need to be invited. Look at what is happening in Zamfara State now, Matawale. The new governor has gone to the Matawale's house now and recovered almost 24 vehicles, all of them confirmed to be state government-owned properties, and Matawale is saying that he had them before he became a governor. How? When did you get them? And it's not just only these ones. Almost all the governors of the states in this country are very, very rich. Okay, because the money gets into their hand and they do what they like with it. They share the one they want to share, and they will just go and be buying, put some kangaroo project and say they have done project. This is a very bad one. So let's see the comment. Somebody saying this man just hate Okowa because he accepted VP slot from Atiku, which his godson Wike was running from Rivers to Abuja to collect before he was turned down by Atiku. That was how all the problems started. Who is saying all of this? This, you must have a political affiliation somewhere. That is the truth. You must have a political affiliation somewhere. I'm sure. All these figures is so confusing. Where in God's name can Okowa loot over ₦1 trillion according to Per Clark? Please try other things, sir. You never can tell somebody who is the governor of a state how much has he received for 8 years as a governor. So you never can tell. That is something that it can be a target. You know, they set target for themselves. This is a competition who will be richer than the other at the end of the office. It's quite unfortunate. Someone's a happy, hungry, clownish slave spotted. Can you imagine? So who is he referring to here? Is he referring to Okowa or referring to Edwin Clark? Someone's old age don't they worry Clark. You know they hear himself. You know he hear himself again. So you guys are trying to cover the rubbish your brother did, but he will pay for it. You know, so you have started with an age again, miserable fellow. It's not about age. But all these years, Clark never stopped blaming Buhari over the poor living standard for the people of the Niger Delta. Okay. So what are we saying here? The truth of the matter is that we should call people out and know that Wike spilled the beans at a point to ask all the governors what they have done with the money, the 30% allocation or derivation that they have been given to. That was in 2022. And people said he was talking rubbish. But I know that in the rubbish they are talking, they also have privileged information. They know what they are getting. That is the truth. They know themselves, especially Delta, Rivers, and Bayelsa. Those 3 states and Cross Rivers, those 4 states are receiving huge amount of money from oil derivation. But what are they doing with the money? And nobody is asking them questions. And that is very bad. Let us start from somewhere. Let us asking our governors question. Okay? The poor living standard of Niger Delta people is the fault of their governors. Traditional rulers and representatives at the upper and lower federal houses. That is true. The 6 states have been receiving their monthly subvention from the federal government and 13% derivation as well. I expect the Niger Deltans to hold their governors accountable to their common accrued revenue and not to cry foul. I agree. That is the thing we're talking about. Let's hold our governors accountable. Let's ask them questions. Okay, let's ask them questions because there's something they're hiding from us. Okay, so somebody say, Per Clark may not be correct with the figures, but he is making a very strong point. He has mentioned some names and written to EFCC. It is left for EFCC to go into the matter. Exactly. Let them go and find out. Okay, he's even trying. An old man like that at the age of 96 years. He was born 1927. Can you see that? 96 years old man is still very, very articulate to that point. I give him kudos for being articulate to that level. How many people of his age can still remember themselves now? Some of them are already weeing and peeing on their body. Some of them are not even up to that age and they're already weeing and peeing on their body. So Edwin Clark and Pa Ayadebanjo of Afenifere, those two old men are different. I think God has given them a different kind of health that they're enjoying. And they are still articulate to this moment. So it's not a question of whether he's correct or not. He has made some point and he has alerted EFCC. So let's dig into it and confirm whether he was wrong or not. That is the truth. So thank you for listening and let's have a comment.